to World War II to the MIT Building 20, which was a makeshift wooden shack that they put up during the wartime just to have enough people to walk by the technology development that was happening at the time. It was one of the most terrible buildings to live in ever. It was made out of wood, it had super-loud floors, it was full of asbestos, it was leaking, it was raining through, it was damp, it was excruciatingly hot in the summer, freezingly cold in the winter, it was without natural light in many parts of the building, and yet this building was the home of the model railroad club, so it was the home of hacking. It's the origin in place of the company Proza, it's the origin of Chomsky's transformational grammar, it's the origin of semiconductors, high-frequency cryptography, and tons and tons of other incredibly important innovation. And people were wondering why, if it's such a crappy building, why did it produce this wealth of new ideas? And one explanation was because this building was so long stretched and because it had a completely cryptic number of physical rooms, everybody repeatedly just got lost, nobody found their offices, and as a result of that, on those long floors, people would regularly bounce into each other, and thereby sort of say, hey, here's this little bit about yours, I'm just inventing, something that has something to do with what you do in linguistics right now. And so the Faraday and MIT put it in a study that was later commissioned about this thing. You might regard it as the womb of the institute. It's tiny enough that Bygone is appropriated. And then you find that in the 1990s and the 2000s, this theory was then, this sort of accidental happening was turned into an explicit design strategy. You find it in the design of the Pixar headquarters and the Pixar headquarters atrium, where very intentionally the meeting rooms and the mailboxes and the cafeteria and the bathrooms were all put into the center of the building, so that for you to pick up your mail or for you to take a bathroom break, you couldn't stay in your floor of your apartment. You have to go into the inner meeting room, where you would then, the whole intention was with bound into other people, and if you listen to people like the Ambassador of Pixar, definitely got that strategy work. We see again in something like Zappos Las Vegas Downtown project, where the idea is to basically take $350 million to renew the inner city of Las Vegas with the Zappos headquarters and these kind of container part where lots of startups can store up and venture capital and meeting spaces. Again, that space has obviously the obligatory slide in the middle, and they formalized this idea of informal collision spaces to such an extent that they created a metric for it, which is ROC, or return on collisionable hours. So this idea, if we can maximize the number of hours in which people bump into each other, we believe that we will get a return in terms of innovation and communication, smoothness of communication. So that's the first theory. There is some data behind that these kinds of informal collision spaces actually do work. There is the second theory around these kinds of playful office environments that I would say doesn't work that well, and I call this theory, for want of a better word, the slidification of office environments. It's the idea that if you give a certain physical space the looks, the surface properties of toys and playgrounds, then somehow magically creativity and well-being will result from that. And if you do any kind of Google or any kind of image search and things like Pinterest or sort of playful office environments, like you see automatically all kinds of these things pop up, particularly in the startup industry, in the business press, you see all kinds of articles about these playful office environments. And what does characterize if you look across all of these? Well, first of all, it's like slides, more than anything slides. These are all the Google offices with slides. Just like our colleagues at my company who've looked at that. Lots of other companies have copied that with even more slides and have ball baskets in their different offices. But more seriously, if you're trying to tease out the different design features that these things have, it's usually wide open spaces with lots of colors and with lots of more informal feeling implements, like beanbags or stuff like that. You will find artificial grass, and you will find basically any kind of toys actually in the room, like football tables or billiard tables. You will find round shapes and kind of spaces that actually evoke outside playground exteriors. You will find lots of flashing primary colors, again more artificial grass, even more artificial grass that you will find on swings and stuff like that. Slides that have already mentioned, lots of open glass to look through, and even fiction issues, even kind of present places in these spaces. So you have meeting rooms that are equipped to be the White House, you have meeting rooms that are equipped to be basically a medieval castle, you have meeting rooms that are designed in order to be a subway station and then a subway, or you have things that look like the underground layer of James Bond pavilion, or things here that are these kind of weird garden spaces with fake wood that then open out into these large open garden space with lots of pinball tables in that case, or even a golf thing, if you don't like that kind of artificial grass, or little wooden shacks, or as I said, James Bond underground layers of the meeting rooms. But if you zoom out, what is it? What's the real encounter here in these theory design? What is it that obviously they're thinking about? It's definitely a wide open space with high ceilings, glass and light. It's toy colors, primary and pastel colors. It's toy materials, wood and plastics. It's playground materials. You use glass, sand, trees, artificial ones. Playground installations, you see slides, swings, cases, balls, all kinds of toys that adults will play with, so arcades, football tables, and using fictional things. So the overarching idea is if we can create the office space so that all the surface features imitate how a playground looks and works, then surely we will create a space that gets people into a playful mood, into a playful mindset, and thereby creativity and well-being happen. And to me, the epiphany for this kind of design principle that went through the design press 2-3 years ago and was celebrated is this little store here, Choo-Choo Toy Boutique, which is not an office space, it's a toy boutique at the Grand American Luxury Hotel in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so basically you have exactly this kind of large space with lots of toys placed in there, and you have the artificial trees, and you have all your implements put out, and then on the one side of the screen you have this one interesting interactive wall. So you have this interactive wall with all of these kinds of pictures, with virtual pictures behind the pictures. Even when you watch the promo video, you notice the only place where it gets actually better in that space is in front of those displays. It's not in any of the other, it's not in any other part of the space. And even in those displays, they desperately try to interact with them, only to discover that these are just repeat moves, that they don't interact with you as a person at all. And I think that's in a certain sense, that's sort of the exact same phenomenon that happens in these office playgrounds, in these playful offices. It captures two terms for me that I always like to latch onto, which is creepy tree houses versus adventure playgrounds. If you look at these two offices, right, this one thing here on the left and this one thing here on the right, which one would you feel is more inviting of playing, of actually playing around and getting in a playful mood? So we'll say the one on the left. Good job. Who will say the one on the right? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's just say on the left. Why do you think on the left? Okay. Why would you do anything in that thing? And then with this one on the left, why would you do anything in that? It leads more to the imagination. It's not finished as a visual representation. It's clear. It's clear in terms of the fact that it's rough, but it's also clear you could argue in the very fact that it is makeshift. So by the very fact that it is makeshift, it sort of says it doesn't matter if you change this thing or if you break it apart, if you do something about it. But the other thing is finished, fixed, polished, and says basically, this is nice, come and admire me, but I go to play around with me, actually. And the educators have actually found a very nice term for this. They call it the creepy treehouse, an institutionally created, operated, or controlled environment in which participants are lured in by mimicking pre-existing open and naturally formed environments, 4x4, through a system of punishment for doers. It's basically this idea that a lot of that goes to play in educational facilities where either the teacher or the institution or the office person say, come here, right, this is a super playful space, but then please play by my rules. And please, you have to play here, right? Versus the other one, on the left side, is what Christopher Alexander, one of the inventors of patterns as a design principle, called the adventure playground as a design pattern for good political cities. Set up a playground for children in each neighborhood, not a highly finished one with asphalt and swings, but a place with raw materials of all kinds, snacks, boxes, arrows, trees, roads, etc., where children can create and recreate playgrounds of their own. The difference between the two and the left on the adventure playground basically is here are the raw materials you play, because playing is interacting with your environment, versus the other says, here's a space that looks playful, but you can't do anything, but you can't actually play in it. So the design pattern, the first underlying design pattern for me is that a lot of these office playgrounds are like the Bitcoin Law Learn Point. They're exhaustible in terms of the possibilities of interacting with them, in terms of the things that you can explore, that put wide questions into your have to probe around. They're very, very shallow. If you just come in, you see how they work, maybe you shove a little bit around with your chair, but that's about it. That's everything you can do with the thing. As with the Bitcoin Law Learn Point. Like you can just hit those three sides of my thumb. That's it. Compared to things that give you actual possibility spaces, I like that don't prescribe how you use them, but thereby opening up this very, very, very large possibility space of what it is that you do in these spaces with them. And the possibility space is not term at least, what the game designers, like for instance, will write use and describe the kind of genre that they call sandbox games, right? Not for no reason. Sandbox games as a playground games that give you these kinds of possibility spaces where you actually have a large amount of possibility and choice in what you do with these things. Now, the great thing about this design principle, I give you a possibility space, I give you freedom, is that in architecture, we actually have a practical historical example for people doing that. So we can see whether this theory works out. The case in point is the action office, designed by Robert Gross in 1964 for Urban which back at the time that it was created had a very strong underlying conceptual problem. It was not just a nice piece of design, they were actually thinking about how this worked relatively hard. Like in the little brochure that you got on this thing, when introduced, you could read, like today's office is a wasteland, it's fast vitality, it blocks status, frustrates accomplishment, has a depressing capacity, etc. And instead we want to have an office that allows you to live better with your work, to do your work better. A place where we would say, you're not doing tedious work, you're doing creative work of the mind, and therefore the office should be a mind-oriented living space. And what's the most important bit for that mind-oriented living space? It is, as Robert Gross put it, it is changing. It's the fact that our current environment changes. It's the fact that if you solve creative problems, you have to be able to adapt your own work environment to just fit exactly those needs. So in this and other places, he actually articulated a set of design principles that he tries to adapt in this action office. He put the beginning principle that we must be allowed to be able to change. As in the playground, we must be allowed to play around to change the office environment. If things change, if projects change, if people change. We must have grace with that kind of change. And what he calls online planning and expression is basically, we must put a lot of the agency and autonomy about these kinds of things to the individual office worker down here. And he didn't just articulate these kinds of principles, he was also one of the first ones to say, hey, there is something about cohesible spaces, right? Once we get people out of their predefined seated study places, once we get them moving around in space, we will get great things. And it was one of the other most recent things, people said we should have standing desks, we should have sitting desks, so they're saying we should have great dictators that we're standing, and we all should be standing. So the vision that we have is that we have these open spaces with things that are predominantly around sort of half seating, half standing, but where you have these kind of highly modular furniture pieces in and of themselves that are then also highly modular in where you want to place them in the space. You just have your own space, you place machines where you want to in the office. Now, in 1964, when the action office came out, it won activists, it was celebrated in the press. But it didn't sell. It partially didn't sell because it was way too luxurious, and it partially didn't sell because at that time people were not to rationalize. So because it didn't sell, 1968, Action Office 2 came out, but by Goals. And in response to the fact that the first one didn't sell, he actually doubled down on his philosophical principles. Now, he said, all components of the office, even the individual little pieces, have to be mobile and renewable. So the whole idea was basically to design something that was completely invisible, that disappeared from view, and that would allow you, the individual worker, to completely configure your workplace however you want. It was literally the office reimagined as Lego building blocks, together with basically tackles of all kinds of things. Say, I don't tell you what kind of images or stuff like that to put in the office. You can do this thing. Action Office 2 took off in sales, was rapidly implemented as office across all kinds of offices. Was rapidly imitated. There are now like 40 different interior furniture companies that do that kind of design, and the way they do it is basically today's reality, which is the cubicle house. The Action Office, which was designed to be a total modular playground for the individual worker, became quite the contrary, a system used to basically trap everybody into a little pre-specified rat cage. The question obviously is why? Well, as Robert Gross himself knows, the dark side of all of this is if you give you something highly modular, is that not all organizations are equally also likely to then actually give their employees the freedom and the little physical free space to do that kind of thing. Instead, they use this very system in order to be as rational, space maximizing, and sort of efficiency maximizing as possible. The thing that the office playgrounds overlooks, and the thing that is very hard for you as designers to bring into space, is that if you want to design for play, you don't just have to give people toys that are open for exploration and open for combination. You also have to underspecify them. That is, you should not prescribe how they are used. You should give that agency to your users. My favorite example of that is Minecraft. Obviously, I have the digital version of Lego right now, where in Minecraft, what do you do with these things? So if you want to do beautiful landscapes or ships or video game characters or 2scale representation of the US Enterprise or a virtual penis, that's up to you. And actually, that's a good sign for us, right? You have this sort of semi-joking metric in internet research, which is time to penis. Which essentially means, right, the litmus test when you actually create a generous system for user-generated content is if people can use it that way. And then you actually know it's generated, then you know accomplish it. Right? And we see how people basically find these possibility spaces, like things like Farm Willie in this case, where they say, hey, you can take a lot of this. In Amazon customer reviews, obviously, where then people basically use the customer reviews to write poems on plastic whole notes, inspired by Alan Poe's reason. And it is that exact license to appropriate however you see things fit that actually makes all the other spaces we already talked about work, that differentiates them from the cubicle house. As Potential, like he put it was the temporary nature of building 2. The very fact that it was just as ramshackle as the adventure playground that gave everybody the material license to just basically use it however you saw fit for your particular needs and purposes. In the same way, the creativity sparked by things like the Pixar headquarters is that in that downstairs room of the animators, it's not just that the room is configurable, but that the room comes with the social license for people that they can reconfigure it however they see fit. they discover, oh, there's an air duct next to my office, and if I go into that little air duct, there's actually this little air duct room. Right, and it turns out it's a love lounge. To summarize this first portion, if we actually want to create office playgrounds, there are 2 office playgrounds. And the 2 things that we need, I think, are not necessarily things that remind us that imitate the surface properties of toy playgrounds. We need a possibility space, rearrangeable spaces, objects that are manipulable, that are trashable, that allow you to bring your own stuff. And then you have to come up with the social license to actually play around with that stuff. Which brings me to social playgrounds. So shifting from the office playgrounds to things like gamification. The idea that we cannot just turn the spaces themselves more playful, but actually the activities, the processes in which we engage. And again, this thing has a very long pre-history. In the early 1950s, there's a fellow's called Roy, who really worked in one of these good precedents, beautiful figures, banana time books. There's how people, even in this kind of hyper-controlled work environment, manage to find a little space of play in piecework by, as he put it in an earlier paper, just like a woman that had to wrap lamps, in the very fact that she could find a little bit of variation how she would wrap lamps. The predecessor of the goal, she finds her skill for initiative, her space for freedom, and in that, how to gain to play. And that again then found this kind of echo in the 1990s in the personal economy and things like the fish strategy that then swamped basically business literature that place working with context from. And today we found it as gamification and here that became the game design elements in other practices, processes, and systems to make them more engaging. In the office workplace, particularly in terms of employee engagement and in things like resource optimization and energy saving in the office and things like that. And the basic underlying theory in the majority of gamification applications right now is very much either a behaviorist theory or it is a public economics theory. So the great thing about games is that they give you very clear rules and feedback about everything you do, right? They're data-rich environments, whatever you do, get great feedback about it. They're very clear goals, very clear procedures. All of what you do is very clearly incentivized, so that motivates them you to do the rationally optimal activity, and so they will do the desired behavior. It's basically the engagement with these managed time. And if you look across the majority of gamification applications that actually the language and the marketing applications that they use, they say these are basically a new version of reward systems that we can use to nudge behavior in the direction that we're interested in. The interesting thing here again is that if you look into reality, there's a lot of that starts to crumble. The big issue with gamification taking game mechanics understood as incentive systems into non-game context is again that we're missing out on the context here. There's a recent news story about Disneyland trying to use gamification in Disney World and their hotels where they try to motivate employees who were folding belongings over long constantly the large flat screens where they say that they had a leaderboard who folded them as long a period of time. And then when they actually interview the workers and say, hey, is this gamification competition, they say, no, let's get another form of micromanagement. Somebody breathing down on that, you feel something electronically. And again, there's no anecdotal evidence. We have serious cases right now reporting back that this kind of mandatory fun in the workplace or serious games, what they might be presenting tomorrow and how actually the moment we return playing to work that this kind of thing breaks down. Why does it break down? It breaks down because it fails to observe that play as an activity, as a context, is a voluntary activity by definition. And the very quality of play for us to call something play that we feel I do this voluntarily, I do this for social, I do this because I want to do it. And that's actually not just a definitional quality. That is something that explains to us why playing games is a fun activity. It's one of the core things that makes gameplay, not just games, but gameplay fun and engaging. If you look into the currently most well-developed theory of intrinsic motivation, part about the work environment, which is documented in the argument that
how preservation works for computational objects
have a piece of data or a physical entity preserved as technical use of the way to describe it. As far as games go, you can talk about the adventure as a terminal game, which is a test adventure game, Data E. Or you can talk about adventure as a already entire game that was released in the early 80s. Both of them are called adventure. Both of them have a very significant historical place in games. Both of them have the same title. And ostensibly some similar methods. And so if the person who's dealing with an object is fully aware of them, you need a way to describe it so that someone else can find it in a collection at a later point. And while everyone here is likely decided to come to a game study adventure, the general populace of people who need to be dealing with preserved software data in institutions don't really know or care much about the difference between what they would serve any historical or technical things with games. So we decided to study a project called the Game Metadata Studies Project to essentially create a set of useful terms for how to describe games in preservation collections, talk about ways to embed correct description of software and games into library metadata that already exist, so that people can kind of call up them in systems that they already use. And then just provide essential guidance and information for collecting institutions that need to preserve games or preserve software objects. There's also a project that I'll talk about. It's not to say that it's also a very large issue in that if you have objects preserved in a collection, the need to cite it or find them again, or you talk about discuss them in academic writing, is kind of non-existent. There's no standard citation software, and we're kind of working on that right now. There's a project going on. Maybe I'll talk about it in the future. So another kind of preservation issue that develops out of the organization of game collections is candidacy. Whenever you're kind of making a decision about what to include or not include in a software collection, you are making a decision about what's really important and what's not really important for the future. So people who are deciding what they want to or will not be able to study going forward. The problem with this kind of develops as we got into when we were doing the metadata studies project, we were looking at what game systems exist, what kind of things you need to describe, is that there's an insane number of dedicated video game platforms that existed over the course of time. And this list isn't actually even exhaustive because it doesn't include operating systems, and it doesn't include what I would use term general gaming devices. Most of the things on this list, in fact, pretty all the things on this list were designed to locate. And when you get into these types of numbers of platforms, things like this historically, you kind of need to decide what you're going to include and what you're not going to include. And if you compare it, you move into the whole class of computational objects. For instance, there are games that are on release acquired recently this and June, but those are the ones that relate to CIA and graphics calculator. There's an active CIA and graphics calculator today. And in my estimation, this is not economic work. Doom are making data instructions about who programs things where and what versions of things are significant, and that impacts the understanding of game history going forward. Also, in relation to Doom and candidacy, when you try and preserve a game, say you have Doom in your collection or Doom as a preserved object, which Doom are you talking about? Data, right? There's many different versions of Doom. You need ways to describe what versions you have in your repository if you're actually taking the data, taking this and putting it in some sort of digital collection. Or if you have it physically, you want to have it described in a way that someone knows what type of game you're getting, or what version of the game you're getting. And so the distinction between the objects that you're dealing with kind of gets really necessary with dealing with practice and practice of the basic game questions described clinically. Others are kind of conversation migration from the more physical end, preservation from the physical end, migration. A lot of the media formats that things have historically been stored on are kind of obtuse. In this example, SNES, storage handling system, and NES cartridges on the right, and scratch for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So there's specific hardware that's not designed to get the data off of all of the intricate and multivariate media formats that you find in a software collection. Now this is actually easier for more popular formats. So we have other formats that are less well known that are made by popular companies like Nintendo that are significant historically for interesting reasons. This one is a Nintendo Famicom disk system, floppy disk, for a floppy disk edition to the Nintendo Famicom, which is the Nintendo Entertainment System that existed in Japan. And this specific disk is actually the original launch platform for The Legend of Zelda. So if you want to play the original conception of The Legend of Zelda, you play on the Famicom disk system, which released only in Japan. And as a historical note, the reason that Nintendo cartridges had to get a battery backup feature is because it needs to emulate what was already available as a floppy disk format that existed in Japan. So there's a notion that certain media formats might be at the start, but they're also kind of significant to specific ideas and areas of the industry. Storage is also a problem, generally preservation. Power too much here is something that you have, a physical item, and all you don't care about the data on it. You can store it pretty effectively because it literally goes on a box, goes on a box, goes on a shelf. This is a picture of the Stanford National Library 3, South 3 here in Stanford. And the methods of issue organizing traffic with lots of software that can sit differently and much for long periods of time. But the more pressing issue for them is actually getting the data off the disk first, because they had never too long, the data will actually get collected and disappear. You don't have these items in a collection that's stored, you describe them, that type of thing. The other kind of preservation challenge is representing them back to a user or an academic someone who might need them in the future. For physical items, if that you have an actual physical piece of hardware with, that's kind of not trivial. I would distribute a Mac and get money from HP for the actual machine and the actual media part that goes in the machine, you can kind of pay off. You can get back to the physical experience of playing it without as much, technical imagery that I'll be talking about in a second. The problem with having physical items and storing anything back, setting anything on physical hardware, we seem to need to have it because eventually it will degrade and go away. And so we, in a general preservationist perspective, tend to kind of say that preserving hardware is going to be very special. Like this thing, what you really need to do is get the data off of the physical items, and then find a way to represent that data to an end user. One of the more common ways of doing this now for certain class of items is emulation, in which you write a software program that can interpret the data that's taken off by physical media, and then represent it through some other computational construct. In this case, a graphic window, like an arcade, is one of the more popular online places to look at emulations of games. Now, emulation also has kind of issues itself, specifically due to the lack of having the same physical instantiation of the original object. This is a picture from the Shell emulator that is emulating this kind of emulation. Something that's emulator doing physical emulation is kind of intensive thing. On one side is the display from a modern LCD screen, and on the right is a conservation of what would look like on a full-stretch television. And you can see that this is actually a racing game, and so on the right side, the tires, graphics are designed to play together based on their expectations of being shown on a scarcity. So the top actually has a tire that's kind of physical. On the left, it looks like kind of some spider monster. And so a lot of people who play games today part of the developers to use this as an economy of pixel lending at a time to kind of save on graphical processing for other places. Again, with emulation, another problem is that you're not playing your Nintendo Entertainment System with little controllers on television in your living room. You're looking at it in a browser or through your laptop. So there's a specific amount of physicality and body interaction that gets left on the floor when you approach representation of emulation this way. Okay, so the Like there's a lot of games that were made from 1970 able to keep the commercial industry existed, and a lot of preservation practices, a lot of focus ends up being on things that were, commercially successful and highly viable. It comes to the right show because one of those things that are popular and are staying in imagination. But working with the collections I have at Stanford, you find a lot of stuff in historical collections that's kind of interesting at a particular time, or that's trying to do things that are different, or what you would think would have been new now, but has actually tried in the past. I always put this on in the space box in my source presentation for preservation because I think it's way kind of hilarious to see. It's made in a specific time and place for a specific reason. And then on the right, you have 3 Mile Island, which is actually not a disaster simulation. It's a tree that has this game to, play with the management of nuclear power plant, which I have really covered again. But there's a whole swath of activity in the history of games that gets swallowed up essentially like just kind of focus on certain commercially successful platforms and games. And this kind of leads into the actual preservation of communities. Like a lot of the more popular systems have a significant amount of dedicated and never by the games community. People like to install different systems that's really popular. And so you end up with this selection bias towards the history of games and towards the preservation of game objects, based on this activity. Okay. So getting on to capital history and what is that preservation, what limits of the review. When you do preservation for the standard model that I put up at the beginning, and all the different issues with description and quantification of the games, when you start getting into the study of them even more deeply, or like a download level, it just ends up getting more complex, not less. For the rest of this talk, I'm going to kind of be positing a model, a front-end model of games based on Chris Crawford's Listen and Speed loop. This is an illustration of Steve's book game deal. I really recommend checking out the guy interested in the physicality of expressing games from an engineering perspective. Now, the Listen and Speed loop is a relatively model. It basically posits that in any game interaction system, there's a human that is listening, thinking, and speaking to a system that is also listening, thinking, and speaking. So it doesn't have a priority or like a hierarchy of interactions or just mind steps. And a lot of preservation practice that we have right now is kind of focused on preserving the right half of this diagram in hopes that eventually it will be more of that stuff. That you kind of get all these old objects and preserve them so you can play the history and real time about how the interaction works. But when you even start kind of positioning this, construct inside like larger social currents, for this specific example, I'm going to talk about some technology that you can develop practice history. It starts to kind of complicate our understanding of how to preserve games even more. For instance, if you look just technologically at the objects on the slide, you'll notice that the top left are actually hardware, they're not software. The original Pong machine was a modified television set, modified television hardware, and the Pong home game was a collection of circuits that were not done as source code, right? It's actually a physical construct, whereas everything else on the slide is actually some variant of a monster cycle 2 assembly language code machine. Now, this is an important distinction to have. It also kind of complicates our model. We talk about standard preservation at the beginning, because some seminal items on the slide already don't fit into this idea that there's separate software that you have to contain, so you kind of get into a distinction of basically like where to fit in this hardware history, given that now there's a lot of so it doesn't kind of fit in the conventional preservation model that we've organized earlier. Another kind of way this is complicated is kind of take a granular look at any specific item here, like for instance, DNS. This example motivated by a obvious book error, which I kind of interested in history in this mechanism system. But if you look at the Nintendo as a classified object, it starts as family here in Japan with a dependent family object system, and then gets released in the United States with the Nintendo system. And it also kind of has a collection of peripherals and other input devices that interact with the game and further complicate our ability to do preservation because they're doing emulation. Do you want to write a software emulator of set something that you really want? There's a lot of interactive toy game with Nintendo systems where you can move little discs, spinning discs to play games. And from some perspective, it's a very interesting historical object. From others, preservation of it is basically putting our shelf kind of on a sort of grander software emulation of but if you go even deeper into the Nintendo, you realize that even though it existed as a single object, had this basic proclamation by the cartridges and the games themselves actually included essentially the memory management controllers or mappers, which was additional powerful hardware that let you do and express more of the games, so that the graphical capabilities and the sound capabilities of the system actually got significantly augmented over the entire transit existence. And so this distinction that we have for like generational games or like engine existing and Super Nintendo existing actually doesn't really work as well when you kind of look at the terrain of how games develop in the system. So this is an example, which I'll just set out. Got it. Okay, good. So this is Happy, which is a program arcade game for making a way to right? It's not trying to do anything or really exploring anything outside of the confines of the arcade design grammar of the game. And it's what again, we get initial really items, right? They're coming from different design, they're coming from different design paradigm and structure. We have high score and live and that kind of thing. But if you really end the NES life cycle, after many years ago, and any kind of advances in the cartridge technology, you have a game like Release Point, which is one of the last games released in the system, and you can use the VRC 7 number, which gave it they're able to play much more advanced capabilities. And this game is not really arcade game, right? It's a full-fledged role-playing game that has a soundtrack, opens with a very long cutscene, takes hours and hours to complete. And I guess design aesthetically have a lot more in common with like most Super Nintendo games than probably most Super Nintendo games than anything else, right? There's this idea that the game generations are really strict boundaries, and if you look technically inside the machine, you can actually kind of advance much more, I wouldn't say smoothly, but there's kind of a significant amount of advancing within the generation cycle of the expressive capabilities of a platform. Okay. So that's kind of if you do some deep platform technical study, you reveal certain details that you might find. Another thing you can do, which is like what I'm also very interested in, is studies of development practice and how the preservation of objects with this generated practice. So, if you want to really understand how the system works and was developed, you need to get into actually the history of its development and resources dedicated to figuring that out. And one of the major ways that is generally talked about doing that is you just get the source code of the object, right? Like you have a game and you want to figure out how it works, you get the source code, you get to learn more about how the system was architected and who designed it and how it works. And one specific example that I've looked into a little bit is MUD, which is the multiplayer version. One was actually added after it was made by Rick Rowell to make sure we knew it was the first one. It was essentially the first multiplayer online virtual world. It's text-based. It was made in the year 1970s. And we have the source code here, so you can just download it off the website. It's kind of easy. But if you look at the source code, presenters to the C language, written by Martin Richards, and the version that MUD was written in was actually the version was written in 1986 at the University of Texas, using the University of Texas' own implementation of the HTML language. So getting this running again, or kind of figuring out what's going on in the source code, requires you to essentially get discordant references from different time periods to try and construct when certain things in code have been written at what times. And there's absolutely no pilot for this. If you actually want to try and run the thing again, you didn't have the source code, you need a ton of other dependent objects just to get the game system running again. The other reference for PCL is actually the language reference by Martin Richards created. But this book is from 4 years after the University of Texas project started, so it actually includes a lot of references to things that were not available to people in 1979. And essentially the way you figure out this was you email with your with developers and kind of get into more of a conversation about how the system works, right? Like when you start looking into development practice and development records, you realize that when we're preserving the game as a single object, you can't get at a lot of history that you otherwise need to get to, so you need to fall back more, I guess, traumatic like oral history and like direct contact with people. You can't just get to the history from the data itself. The other thing, just as a general problem with development studies that way, is that source code is very available. There's actually like a database to go to commercial games that source code available, but it's not that common. That's really nice to look at if you're interested in specific games or how specific games developed. Most notable games with source code available, Sin City and Doom. We'll see that just now, looking into this moment. The other problem is that there's not a lot of tradition for how to do history anyway. There's no history to go in Wikipedia. There's actually a direction to it, and then it's just hanging there, right? So there hasn't been a concerted effort, even within the development community, to kind of figure out how to preserve and talk about their heritage. We actually worked on a project, another project we never used to kind of define that for our cause. One of our notions was that if you kind of gave a guide how to deal with the records of game development, maybe institutions would be more willing to actually take the modern deal with them or figure out how to create them. But so from the two examples I talked to with technology studies into the NES and getting into more development practice histories, the preservation of the game objects isn't basically enough, and even when you have the sources, they're kind of difficult to access and collect and describe in levels that might be useful for people in those disciplines. Also, the technical study that I talked about was a lot more preservation practice. Like you're trying to preserve the game with objects, but you need a lot more historical context around them to be preserved as well, so you get a more fuller understanding. And it also focuses a specific type of historical analysis. The game that you save lets you only do a certain number of things analytically that you need to then supplement with other types of preservation practices and other types of historical study. And another large thing, which kind of came out of the MUD example, for me personally, is that when we do the preservation work, there's not a lot of discussion, or there's not much discussion there is of how difficult it will be to deal with, I guess, the technical considerations of objects at the time you're preserving them or into the future. The MUD example for me actually kind of kicked off the last part of this talk, which is it's a multiplayer online game that's server dependent, so there's a lot of specific technological dependencies that we can never overcome to get that thing running. It's going to be a very, very risky effort to get that running. Luckily for MUD 1 specifically, it was actually ported to C, so if you want to cross-compare from the C version that works and the GCL version that doesn't, feel free, because it's actually part of the stuff in every programming language is expensive. But essentially, all the stuff that complicates that standard preservation model has significant implications for the future. So I guess the last third of this talk is kind of dedicated to this notion that the standard perception of game preservation and game history is rapidly changing, and it's becoming outdated. When I think of a game being more than 1983, my sort of center for them is like the Nintendo Entertainment System. Which is where I was exposed to video games and how I kind of like demarcate game history myself internally. And when I think about preservation practice, I had to use it earlier in the talk as like a standard, one of the objects for standard preservation model that kind of developed through the research stuff. But that's a very North American-centric view. If I was born in 1984 in some other country or other part of the world, Nintendo would not be my defining object for my history. It would be something else like a Condor or Tamagotchi, which is Japanese. But the thing is that a lot of work preservation is being thought of and conducted with a mindset towards these types of objects. And then whenever I think about people who are born later, who were born in 2000, some people in this room who are much younger than I am, right? Like this is a conception of a game, to vast numbers of people in my generation. And this is a very, very different preservation object and a very, very different model for both software and interaction. So if we kind of look at the standard preservation model, like the beginning where you have data that's put on storage media that's engaged with a platform, if you go phone into this, it's just a little fuzzy. There's no storage media. It has to kind of get data from the internet. And so there's a totally different distribution paradigm. There's a different reliance on network connections and sort of other dependent systems that is not present in the earlier preservation centralization. And sometimes it's referred to as like a network-centric model for preservation. And there really isn't a lot that this stuff, like we don't know how the previous perspective that we have on this maps to this new paradigm really yet. Like some of the description and kind of the issues are always going to be there. Migration and storage for digital distributed or highly networked objects is kind of a really difficult question still. And then representation is also a big problem. Because you have all these things that were dependent on a network connection for distribution and updates, a network connection for playing, a network connection for interaction with other people. When all that goes away in a decade, the project's not going to function. You need to get the whole code out. You need to pull objects. You can do this whole thing that we talked about with getting the data, off of a distribution system, and you store it on your local computer or your local repository. Representation issues are different. The emulation challenges are also different. And for, I guess, just an expression of some of the gravity of the issue of this, the gravity of this kind of issue, you start like with a basic idea of the development of games or generating software from many people now, and think about stuff in general. There's been kind of growth going out. And then for network payment stuff, it starts later, right? And so we're kind of in this phase right now. This is highly empirical, by the way. And when you kind of set it out, you kind of go out from here. For the future of humanity, like most of the software objects and games that we're going to need to be saving or talking about are going to be, in this newer model that doesn't really support that much of the standard stuff that I was talking about in standard practices that we developed over the last 20 years. And this kind of happens again with the physical distribution of objects as well. Like you had distribution of physical items that has been taken initially selling off, and then digital distribution comes in and effectively takes over going forward, right? So like we're not going to have as many physical items to catalog anymore. Everything's going to have to be focused on how to store things in digital systems, get them out of digital systems, get them out of iStore walled gardens, and things of that, and other similar places. And this isn't like that. I kind of phrase it as being scary or daunting, and it is. But it's also backed up by some numbers. So if you go to Movie Games, which is a site that kind of has a So right now, what we do is not listing the games that exist. There's about 55,000 games for all platforms for all time, with some of the games, right? Of those, about 19,000 are Windows games, so all versions of Windows. So if you look at Steam's current numbers right now, 9,000 games, there are 9,000 Windows games on Steam, right? So half of the Windows games, so not half, yeah, about half in your network. A significant percentage of games that have existed for Windows exist right now and are in this newer preservation model, that are in this newer networking world. I think it's even kind of crazier with the iOS App Store. This is like this from last week on Gamer. There's 534,000 active games on the iOS Store. There's 217 added every day. So there's effectively an order of magnitude more games on the iOS platform right now that have existed in recorded history for human production. Now, mind you, the games on Modi listing also includes iOS apps in it, so the Modi listing is actually like head of the lecture. And I guarantee you that a significant percentage of those 100,000 apps are not very good or compelling. But again, this gets back to the earlier point of description and canonicity, is that I don't know if some future great individual is making a terrible app right now that might want to save, because at some point in the future, you know, that'd be kind of historical interesting technical object. And so this gets into a just weird inversion. I used to, when I gave archive talks, talk about how we couldn't go the way of the sound film industry, or go the way of the film industry. For people unaware, sound film, you know, didn't survive very well as a preservation object. At the time the film was popular, by the time the film started, it wasn't considered a popular production media. A lot of people did a lot of praise play. I guess this is my favorite picture. It's a guy literally hacking copies of his own film in half so that no one can pirate them. So it's like kind of PRM for the 1920s stuff. But essentially, there was this kind of notion rooted in this historical conception of games that like, there's all these old games, no one was respecting them, no one was talking about history as much, we're going to lose them unless we do a lot of preservation efforts to keep those objects around. And my realization is that we're actually doing a lot of that. The game community and nostalgia has kept a lot of that safe. And going forward, we're going to have this kind of inverse problem with games and software and data in general, where we can't keep up with the amount that is being created, and we're going to just lose a large percentage of it because also much more complex than today. And so you will not, instead of losing a lot of the percentage of the earlier objects, you're actually going to continue going forward in the future, losing more and more stuff to create right now. So this kind of brings me to my last point, where the earlier model I was talking about was where you kind of save the way out the diagram of the system to give you some expression of what's going on with the human and like recreate history that way. But it's going to have to become more of a, I guess, the task is now, or in my opinion, the task is now, we're going to have to do a lot more work to actually just record what's going on with the games and the applications as a way to reveal like how the system interactions actually work at that point in history. So instead of trying to get all these network objects running and emulated and saved to all time, I think it's going to have to be a more of an effort to record how people use these objects in practice and see how the interaction paradigms work in more traditional archival formats, just so we have some of the history saved, because I don't see dealing with the other problem in any sort of significant manner other than for things that it seems, I guess, very significant. Like the only network object that I can think of that has more scrutiny that you could bring to bear is the recent work being done with like World of Warcraft server emulation, where people have reverse engineered the entire production server for World of Warcraft games, so they can run their own servers against, they can run the original World of Warcraft client against, discrete versions of server software without Blizzard's knowledge or consent when people get the game, right? So that's incredibly rare. That's like Genesis of a largely network scale object that has a significant emulation preservation aspect behind it, and I don't see that being feasible for longer term. Now, the idea for game preservation, the first preservation that my friend James Dean did that talked to this series before, he had a book called Death Before, which was written in 2012. His desire for game preservation was much more focused on thinking that the interesting things happening in the game right now are how people are playing them and about the data. I mean, he's also a lot more fatalistic about the ability to emulate older games. There's not a lot of discussion of the problems of the future network stuff in this book. It's more about, giving up on trying to save everything that's existed in the past and just getting into trying to do a gameplay analysis of game preservation of what has existed. And so you have this idea now that the development process technology on the side and sociocultural studies and body experience is going to be more of a way you're going to find out about the right-hand diagram going forward. This is a little bit more interesting to talk about this, you questions about this later. But the idea that you can get everything you need for the right-hand diagram going forward, especially for modern systems, is going to get increasingly more difficult. Another part of the game preservation that was not present in Newman's work that's kind of become incredibly popular right now, these are kind of things that I talked about, that it's easier to have to record a video of games stored in a kernel repository, because it's just know how to deal with video a lot better than how to deal with software objects. And that's actually a future proof right now. But that I guess the preservation activity of this type is actually kind of going on right now in a large mass scale. That's just not being thought of in the same way as I think other preservation activities. There's like videos on YouTube. There's people streaming hundreds and hundreds of hours of their interaction with these games online. And there's a lot of, I guess, game cultural outlets focused on people exploring and interacting with existing gameplay that can be leveraged or I guess turned towards a better, basis of study and research for future game analysis and future game studies. Okay, so I guess general summation here. The current preservation paradigms not really consider the future of what we need to have for preservation paradigms. This idea of game history and game technical stuff will actually depend a lot more on non-software, non-technical records going forward, just as it seems how difficult it is to maintain and take care of these things. And I think going forward for specific preservation activity, we really need to leverage in a significant way the fact that there is a lot of activity right now going on to preserve how people are playing games, how people are interacting with interactive software online, and it isn't being thought of as like historically significant preservation. Because it is, and it may end up being like one of the main ways in how we're trying to have interactive with network objects right now. We'll not be having the actual network objects, but just having all these records that people are kind of creating themselves. This is a work probably funded by the IMLS, Institute for Human Library Services and National Humanities, some of the projects I mentioned. And then there's a bunch of the current work that we're doing on metadata description and on some of the kind of implementation practice. Thank you. Opening for a couple people to filter in. Throw out the CS Sports Family for my new games, so you know who I am and what I'm about. I'm in the Tangled Brownie Ghost, and a useful physics platformer set in outer space. Tell the story of the ghost girl. We're looking for the Ghost Fox. That's the only way